There is not only one way to do the matrix. Traditionally, we begin in the bottom right-hand quadrant and then move left. As we continue to do matrix work, there is value in being flexible when shifting. Here are a few different ways of going around the matrix. I've named them, but these are just silly names that I use in my head. I don't claim ownership. The first alternate loop I call alternate loop number 1. For this loop, we start in the top left square with a behavior that has been previously identified. We then go down to identify inner content that shows up when they do that action. We explore this content, and then we use it to help us identify who and what are important to the client. From here, we move up to brainstorming committed actions and initiating behavior change. So again, it looks like this. The main goal of this loop is to initiate behavior change. We begin with an undesired or problematic behavior, move down to what the inner content is. Here we're doing a functional analysis, and then we're swinging over, talking about values, what is important to us, and then brainstorming some committed actions or toward moves. You'll see that I use this loop with the children's matrix, if you watch the children's matrix video. This is a handy loop to use if we're crunched on time. And if we've done already one matrix, then this one's pretty easy to set up. But it also works if a person has no experience with the matrix at all. You can just kind of do it this way. I've used it in school settings and it works good. Also good for some quick problem solving. As we kind of swing around here and go up to this number 4, committed actions, we're utilizing a lot of problem solving skills, a lot of solution focused work can be brought in here, in addition to everything else that we normally do, like cognitive diffusion, experiential acceptance, and so forth. The second alternate loop I call the swing protocol. This loop can begin in either of the top 2 squares. From whichever of the squares you begin in, you move down, and then over, and then up, probing and exploring at each stop. When we are at the opposite end from where we started, we begin the swing back down and up. Until we've completed the swing. We can do this as many times as we like, swinging back and forth. The goal here is to really get in touch with and contrast the 2 sides of the matrix. We want the client to be able to clearly differentiate between towards and aways, both externally and internally, and then practice discriminating between these outside of session. The third loop I call the foxtrot, because the diagram looks like the steps of a dance. Here's what the finished diagram looks like. This alternate loop around the matrix starts in the bottom right hand with a connection to values. We then swing up and explore outer behavior that aligns with this valued content. and then back down to keep reinforcing what it feels like to really engage in this valued behavior. We want clients to be really connected to this experience. We then move over to the stuff that shows up that can get in the way and other inner content. And then up to explore away moves. And back down again to work with that inner content one more time. And finally, up and over to toward moves again, coming through the self here. Let's walk through that again one more time. We're starting down here by exploring importance and values for the client. We then can inquire about recent or prominent toward moves that the client has made and explore those. And bring it back down again, where we continue to establish the connection between behavior and how our life works for us. We do this by sharing that functional analysis dynamically with the client. From here, we can move to exploring hooks. These could be hooks that are present during that toward move, or hooks that weren't there but which normally show up during these toward moves, and which might show up in the future. And then we explore away moves that happened or usually happen and their workability. And we continue back down to exploring and getting in touch with our inner content. We can spend as much time as we like in any of these spots here, minutes or entire sessions if necessary. And we build that bridge of mindfulness, acceptance, diffusion, perspective taking right up into the top right through this self. Try out some of these alternate loops with your clients if you think they might be helpful. See how they work for you and your clients. If you see anything interesting or think of any other cool ways to use the matrix, different loops, let me know. I'd love to hear about them.